Hello everybody. Today I've got a couple of projects. I'm starting with some vintage clothespins. I want to make sure they're all roughly the same color, shape, and size. I also have this small tart tin, absolutely adorable. A cutout of a snowflake and a piece of ephemera. Now the hole there in the snowflake I'm going to cover up with the dots. And then I also have another piece of ephemera. So I'm going to start with my palette knife and some white paint. I opted for this look just because I used it in a previous video and I really liked the look of it to kind of mimic snow, and it's just fun to use. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the front of each of these. I do end up switching over to a painter's brush or a chip brush, I guess, and continuing to add some kind of like speckling to mimic snow as well. So this is just a fun, quick, easy project. I'm sure you guys have seen these vintage clothespins before. I find them at the thrift store all the time. So keep your eye out. There's a wide variety of things you can, there's some things you can make. You can make the little angels with them like I had in a previous video. Also, I've seen people use these to make like reindeers. You could do the legs and the antlers. I don't know what you'd use for a body, but I guess if you get creative enough. But either way, keep your eye open for these at thrift stores. They're usually very inexpensive. So now I'm just going to use a painter's brush with the white again and just add a little bit of speckling. For the next step, I'm rolling up my sleeves, so we're getting down to business, first of all. And so I'm going to paint the snowflake, and I want to paint it black. So I'm keeping these in kind of neutral tones, and with black, a little dramatic, kind of different. You don't typically see a snowflake that's black, but what the heck, we are having fun and being creative. So I'm just going to use the standard black acrylic paint and get this all painted up. Now there's a hole in the snowflake top for hanging, and so I had to come up with something to cover up that hole, and I have these silver sticky dots, and I do want to take down the shine just a little bit because that tart tin kind of has a slight tarnish to it, and so I thought I would just sort of take the shine down on those dots. So I painted those very lightly in black paint as well. Now I'm going to take this ephemera. It is just a black and white, and it's of Santa and I think some kids, but I just want to use the Santa's head to put in the center of that tart tin. So I am going to cut that out and then glue that to the center. Of course, with any ephemera, I like to stain or age them with some brown ink. It's one of my most favorite things to do. It really changes any kind of images that you have, just to kind of give it like, an aged look. Okay, so now we have those clothespins, and I'm just coming up with like a rough idea of this is supposed to be like a bigger snowflake, and then I have the other one in the center. So I'm just going to figure out where I'm going to put these, and I need a smaller piece to glue these down on, and so I just took a lid and traced around it, and then I'm going to cut that out. I want to make sure before I glue down that last one, I want to add a string for hanging. So I do end up taking black twine and making a loop. I want to get a centerpiece cut out for this, so I'm using some cardstock, and I'm just going to take a lid and trace around. Now I've got the beveled scissors. I haven't used these for a while. They're a little tricky, but it is possible to cut a circle with these. Just line up, you know, the edges there a little bit. But so this ends up working out well. I did have some cleanup at the end, not a big deal. Now I'm going to hot glue this right to the center. Now let's go ahead and add the snowflake to the center as well. So here are those dots. I want to cover the hole there in the snowflake for hanging, and so I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the same spot on all of the little arms of the snowflake. It adds as a nice decoration as well. Now let's take the tart tin and hot glue that right to the center. I'm going to take some brown ink and just go around the outside edges of the cardstock there in the back, just for added interest and definition. I decided I wanted to bring some more of the black in from the snowflake. So I'm just going to take a little bit of black acrylic paint and a painter's brush and just lightly stipple that onto the edges. Again, this is not a standard snowflake that you would typically see. It's highly stylized and it's got a little bit of a vintage feel, but overall this was a really fun project to do. Okay, so for this second project, I have these transfers, and I think I got these on Temu some time ago, maybe last season. I found this at a thrift store. I have no idea what it is. There were 4 more of them. I wish I would have picked them up, but I was being cheap that day, and so I decided to go with just one. I definitely could have used the others for more projects. If anybody knows what this is, now the top of that wood piece is a metal disc. And so I thought maybe it was some kind of a leg for a chair or some kind of, I don't know, for a table or something, but it's not. I think maybe it's just a stylized decor piece. If anybody knows what it is, let me know in the comments. Okay, so I put this transfer down, and transfers are not my favorite, but you know, a little bit of time and effort, and they do end up working out quite well. I like this one. It is a nice kind of a holiday feel to it. And so I'm just going to get that on there. It looks pretty decent. Okay, so I have this tag. This is from a pack of ephemera tags. It is not a Christmas tag, but it has red on it and it's got that sepia tone that I really like. Okay, so I want to make a ribbon. I want it to match the green in the transfer. I do like to make my own ribbons. You guys may have seen in my past videos. I did not want to get in the car and go to the store and buy some green ribbon for this project. So my solution for this every time is to just tear a thin piece of cotton muslin. It's about 1 inch wide. And you just take acrylic paint and paint it on. This is a fantastic way to match any of your ephemera transfers or stencil projects with almost the exact color. Anything that you need, any paint colors that you have, you're able to do this. It's just a standard acrylic paint. I really love how this turns out. So I'm just going to get this all painted up. I do spray it down with water first. That gets the paint to soak into the material pretty smoothly. And so I'm going to put it in my drying box. I have shown this drying box once before. This was my solution to quickly dry any of my materials that are stained or painted. It's just a wooden box that I got from the thrift store, usually like those florist boxes. And I throw it down in there, and the reason for that is I used to dry all my materials just on a flat surface, and I felt like the heat was not being used properly. So by putting it in an enclosed space like that, it dries very, very quickly. So that's my drying box. And so I've got this dried now, and I did scrunch it up a bit. I really love the texture of the painted material, and the color variation that you get is quite nice. Just, I mean, you know, if you need ribbon and you don't have the right color, you can always do something like this. It's a really quick, great way to embellish your projects. And so I'm just going to wrap that around the top, and then I'm going to get that tag put together with a small bell and add that on as well. Before I get that tag attached, I want to go ahead and give it a little bit of age. And so I like to wrinkle up my tags and just add a little bit of brown ink to the tag and the creases along the top. It definitely adds a nice visual interest. Let's get the wood piece aged as well. I wasn't sure how this ink was going to show. I thought it might like yellow a little bit, but it definitely stayed true to the brown ink. And so I was pretty happy with that. I could have done any variation of finishes to this with a crackle or using my palette knife or even a dry brush, but I opted for the ink. And so now I'm just going to add that tag. I do have a small bell there as well. That's it, guys, for these two projects. I had a lot of fun making them. I hope you enjoyed them too. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.